Alright, hello everybody, Skyrim here, back again with another Diablo Immortal video. Alright, there's things making their ways through the interwebs, and let's get around to talking about it. I'm going to put my 2 cents here for what it may be worth. As a constant PvPer, as a free-to-play, 100% free-to-play, mind you, in that landscape, this is going to change a few things, and I don't know how soon the other balances may hopefully happen. We're getting a small list, and this is all speculation. Well, actually, no, some of these aren't all speculation. Some of these are pretty much confirmed. As you've seen, this is if you haven't seen it already, which I never know. This is kind of a crapshoot whenever I do some of these, and I try not to rehash a lot of the stuff that's already been done. But nonetheless, here we go. Just the same. We have an update preview with the Chinese New Year coming up. NetEase is going to F off, of course, for a time, so that's going to be a bit rough when it comes to if there's any problems. That's basically going to be for Blizzard to handle, and we all know how well that goes, right? Like over like a lead balloon. All right. Anyway, the update preview, the long and short of it here is the Year of the Snake is coming up here. They're bringing back around what I've said in the past, which a lot of players would have liked to have seen maintained in the game, is when it comes to Elder Rifts. Elder Rifts, we're going to have that little bit at the end of them again to where we can restart them with the party that we're in already, or if we're by ourselves, we can just do it nonetheless immediately. We can say, yeah, I want to start another run right now. So that was a nice little quality of life thing that I, like I said, would have liked to have seen stay in the game, and so on and so forth. So that's coming back around for the Chinese New Year event that's going to be upcoming here. We're going to get the official notes to all this stuff on Monday. So I'm kind of just covering what was already been discussed here. This is posted on Reddit. I did the Google. This is all Google translated, of course, from the Chinese, of course, which is always broken and busted because Mandarin to English is a bit rough when it comes to any form of translation, especially when you're relying on Google. So take that for what it is, but here we are. But yeah, so that is coming back around. We're also getting the portal device, as it shows here, the Secret Realm portal device, the Elder Rift device, where you can go and activate it and you'll go straight to the end boss, which is fine because, you know, that saves everybody a lot of time. Well, I don't want to say a lot of time because I was going to say, well, why don't they just leave this in too? They can even, you know, as much as they like to squeeze the blood from the stone out of everybody still on getting people to pay for things, they can put this onto the market somewhere and say, hey, you want these? Buy X amount of them for X amount of cost, yada yada. But in all honesty, I would still probably pass on that because most Elder Rifts take anywhere between, 30 seconds and up, depending on how many elite mod packs that you get along the way in that particular run that randomly generate to get the orbs that speed up the timer. So that's a nice thing that's coming up with the event here, and we'll see that, right? All right, so then that's one thing there. Moving on to the biggest meat and potatoes here thing, which was discussed, and everybody's all probably going to be up in arms about one way or the other already. Those that may have bandwagoned to Barbarian, of course, for the months that it has been the, of course, meat hammer meta. Other classes have already started to make their adjustments, of course, and they have for a bit now. So when it comes to these balancing changes, they're always a little bit behind the 8 ball. They're a little slow when it comes to doing certain things, but nonetheless, here we go. After months on end, they finally decided to make a change to Undying Rage. Undying Rage now, whenever it will proc or will be used, if you are on the idols, it will not move them or stop them, depending on what side you're on. So if you're on attack, you won't be able to move it forward anymore just by being in an Undying Rage and standing on the point. And then as far as defense goes, you cannot, of course, stop the idols from moving anymore with being on the point on Undying Rage on defense. So it's pretty much taken the approach that has happened to Necro Wraith forms and the like, It's funny though, because there are still a few things, like in particular Tempest with the puddles, the immunity puddles. They can still activate them and be untouched, and that still works. You can still drop down, if you have multiple Tempests, they can still do puddles on the idols, and those can still move as well. But I digress. They may or may not get around to those. Who knows? But this is the biggest one, obviously, and the biggest pain point for a lot of players. And of course, as far as I am concerned, being a, pretty much a constant PvP player, free to play aspect as well, don't mind you, but still, nonetheless, I think I have enough input on this and just give my thoughts on it here, and that's what I'm trying to make this a little bit more standoffish from the other videos that we're just reading these verbatim. So, okay, there you go. You got your meat and potatoes so far, and this is my thoughts on it now. The one below it is some changes to Monk, and I'm not going to go into it. You can read it on the screen for yourselves. Take it for what you will. Yes, that is Monk in the bottom half of the screen there. But as far as that goes, speaking of monks were left in the dust for the longest time until the most recent set of essences. Now, as most of us see and most of us know, of course, especially in the whale class matchups, the heavy resonance, secondaries, all the above, it is very problematic, and it will continue to be so for a while because I don't see that being addressed. Again, the devs are probably behind on that one and paying attention to it, but they will see that, I am sure, because what's going to happen is this meta is going to shift again, which it partially already has. We've had the changes with the Necromancer to the Golem essences. Now, these were by design. The Golem essences that the Necros were given was pretty much a semi sort of mix up of trying to deal with the Barb meta to a certain degree. So they introduced the Golem Necros, right? If you haven't seen them, where you been? And then, of course, also, which is going to be more prevalent now with this change to Barbarians, we're going to see a lot of them bandwagon probably over to Monk. And you think, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought some time ago that Monk would have seen this rise again, and so on and so forth. And of course, there are some people already calling for nerfs, and I will agree to that to a certain point. Okay, it does seem a bit overtuned. It does need a little bit of tweaking. But, let's not go overboard. Now, they say, like, oh, we won't do nerfs and whatever else. Well, now, this one for Barbarian, in a sense, could be construed as a nerf. So, hey, take it for what you will. They said they weren't going to do that, but they still do shadow nerfs. That still happens, and those are a lot more immediate. But you won't see that anywhere posted. They won't let us know about those, but we'll all feel them if it just happened in the past. But that's kind of off topic a little bit anyway. But bringing it back around to Monk, we're going to see the baton twirling, cheerleading monks on the rise heavily now after this. I guarantee it is going to take place. It's going to happen. And the problem with that one is those are a lot more difficult to deal with when it comes to the general populace, as far as, when you're up against, especially the whale ones, in general, now it's funny though, however, I've seen this happen a bunch. It is very comical and also kind of sad because that's not real. I don't consider this real gameplay anymore. When you watch them go and chase each other around in circles, it's like a couple series of little fan blades just chasing each other. And that's pretty much, it's comical when you see it and sad at the same time, because it's like, really? This is what we're doing now? This is the best we can put together, and this is what we got. So yeah, it's unfortunately going to probably grow. Now, to that effect, hopefully, if we can stand it for however long, the devs do track that kind of data. They do track like what classes, what builds, what have you, in the numbers anyway, and their data numbers. They do track that to see what gets used and abused, honestly, for some time. However, they again are very slow on fixing things and adjusting. So hopefully they'll see like, oh well, why do we have monks all of a sudden on an uptick? It's like, well, obviously you don't know because you don't play your own game. We've said this before many times in the past. But nonetheless, here we go. We just have to make do as best we can. And that's what I'm pretty much saying is the current landscape of the situation right now. Barbs, yes, and they're constant undying and just pretty much inching idols down the lanes in a lot of matchups. And there's nothing you can do about it because, well, also the other issue that still to this day will remain and will never be addressed properly is the class distribution in matchmaking. The class distribution, they cannot get that right for the life of them whatsoever. They will never be able to, unfortunately. It's just one of those things I don't think they will ever be able to address properly. Because you have a certain amount of the players in the player pool at the times of each of these battlegrounds to work with, and I understand that, but the fact remains how there's been multitude of matchups, and then you pretty much have to say, okay, this is a given loss, or this is a given, well, not necessarily a given win. There's never a given win. It's always a given loss, though. When you see, oh, look, they have 4 barbarians, 3 satyrs, and like a necro golem on the other team, or what have you, right? And then on your team, oh, we have all like wizards and demon hunters. That's it. All right, and we're on attack. Well, we're not going to make it very far. That kind of thing, yeah, that still needs to be addressed. It still needs to be fixed. Will that ever? That one in particular, probably not. But anyway, but yeah, this is what I wanted to say on the change that is going to happen, that is looming on the horizon. We will get into the more meat and potatoes of it in the official patch notes this upcoming Monday, and then go into this in a bit more detail and a bit more with a bit more clarity. This is literally just a mail that was sent out, obviously, and of course we all run with it like no tomorrow, and that kind of thing happens. This one here, just to kind of wrap this up here, this is something else that we may or may not see happen. They are suggestions. I'm looking at mostly the suggestions for the user equipment library, which is the Armory. I'd like to see these happen. Right now, this one I think does inadvertently happen now. You can choose whether to save gems, runes, and familiars into the... whether or not to save them if you want. So there's going to be more checkmark boxes in these armories, I guess, is what this means. Fine, that's kind of all right, because then there's certain familiars that we might like over others. So that, I get where they're going from with this, and that's definitely a quality of life improvement as well. Who knows when that will be coming down the pipe, but we'll just have to wait and see. I see added, and it just says added, but the translation makes it sound like it's in past tense. It hasn't happened yet, but nonetheless, added a button to save overwrite green equipment only. So your set pieces. Adventurers can save green equipment separately. That would be kind of nice. That would be kind of nice to a certain degree. And that might work in a sense if you want to make multiple loadouts for the Armory and Battlegrounds. However, they update the Armory and the changes to Battlegrounds last. So who knows if that will be even in place if this one should happen. So don't hold your breath. But anyway, nonetheless, I'm going to move on to the next one right here. Now, when there is a missing part in the plan in your Armory, after activation, the part will use the current equipment instead of being empty. I like this. This is very, very nice. And let me show you a per instance of that right now. Really, really quick. Switch loadout. This one in particular right here. Like, I trashed this piece a while ago. I haven't updated it. I just haven't gotten around to it. But this is a per example. Yes, this would be very, very nice because a lot of times, especially with the 3 slaughters, the normal gems get shifted around and it's a mess. And then you got to go and find them in your stash, in your inventory, wherever to fix the problem. So there's that. I do want to see this get implemented. This would be very, very nice when they say, oh yeah, that way it's a lot easier to shift certain things around, and it's like I said, it's way less of a pain. So that I am definitely wholeheartedly wanting to see happen. Okay, and then let's get back to it here really quick. One more thing, wrapping it up. But now there is another suggestion to that as an offside. When the green equipment is missing in the plan, it will automatically search for green equipment with the same name giving priority to equipment with the higher scores after activation. Now this one, I would rather not. I would rather not, because more often than not, I end up choosing gear with certain substats, and the scores tend to be lower because they either have less magic affixes on them, or they're ones that I just don't like, and I don't feel like re-rolling them, and I already have a better piece in place, that kind of thing. So this one I would kind of hopefully say no, but I do like the other one where it will just keep that slot filled with whatever you have on at the time. So yeah, I definitely prefer that over the other one. So, but anyway, let me know what you think about these in the comments down below so far. What your thoughts are on them. I hopefully am on pretty much on topic when it comes to having a pulse in the battleground scene as far as what to expect as far as the metas go. Like I said, it's going to be the rise of the baton twirlers, more so now after this change goes through live next week in the maintenance patch update with the game. There are other ones there are other ones mentioned on the way. We'll just have to wait until Monday, and I much rather prefer it anyway, personally myself. It's the internet, yes, and everything's going to be in our faces at all times, and we have to have stuff directly injected into our veins immediately, right? But some things, as far as like, you'd like to be surprised every now and again. That's my personal take on that. But anyway, as always, everybody, stay safe out there in the real world on fire. Still, especially in the West Coast in the U.S., still ongoing. So please, please, please be safe. And of course, everywhere else in the world, with everything going on, and that's why I generalize it, but it remains true nonetheless. Stay safe as best you can. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, see you.